I wonder if we're in a year of peak cinema. Anyway, let's talk about Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon is the latest film by the maestro Martin Scorsese, and it stars his favorites Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, as well as Lily Gladstone. The story follows the murders of the Osage tribe, and if you're not familiar, just for a bit of backstory, the Osage are a Native American tribe who owned a piece of reservation land, and on that land they found oil. And this being the 1920s, oil being a very precious commodity, even now, the Osage clan, the Osage tribe, got rich real fast. They got real rich real fast. And because of that, a lot of people are after their wealth, including oil companies and people like the characters in this movie. The film follows the story of Molly Burkhart, who's played by Lily Gladstone, and her family, who are Osage, and they have what is known as head rights, or rights to the land, so that means rights to immense wealth. And during this short period, in the 1920s, her family and people tied to her die in many mysterious ways, and these deaths are not really investigated. Now, Molly is married to a white man by the name of Ernest Burkhart, who is the nephew of the king of the Osage Hills, William Hale, who has amassed an incredible wealth and has a great respect from the Osage tribe, and is someone who outwardly pretends to be a friend of the Osage nation. Ernest Burkhart is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and William Hale is played by Robert De Niro. And William Hale hatches a plot in order to use his nephew to seduce Molly Burkhart in order to obtain her family's head rights. And this plot doesn't just involve seducing Molly and getting them married and then getting the rights from her, but it also involves eliminating the members of Molly's family in order to make sure the entire wealth, the entire head rights that belong to her family, goes solely to her. Ernest, being a very simple man and also not being able to do much heavy work ever since the Great War, World War I, where he sustained a severe injury, which means he can't do much hard work, is used by his uncle in order to, one, seduce Molly by acting as her cab driver that drives her around, and then also using him to commit some heinous crimes in order to eliminate her family. And it's not just done by Ernest Burkhart, but using Ernest Burkhart as a proxy, who then uses other criminals as proxies to get these deeds done. For me, this paints a grim picture of American history. We know that American history is filled with a lot of dark things that they want to sweep under the carpet. So this movie and the book that it's based on brings to light another dark chapter in American history, and it paints a picture of the greed of white men and their willingness to do anything in order to take wealth from people of other ethnicities. Another dark thing about this film is the sheer nonchalance in which these characters discuss committing murder and eliminating people and eliminating a group of people without any remorse. There is one scene where a person they're planning to kill is vulnerable, passed out in front of them, and these two people, Ernest and William Hale, they're just discussing plans to kill him in order to obtain his wealth. And they have to go over specifics, because we can't just kill him right now. We need to kill him at a specific time, in a specific way, in order to make sure we get that money. Besides that, there was also a showcase of the level of racism that white people had towards Native Americans, and these white people were in the houses owned by Native Americans, and they were still viewing them as lesser than. And to think that these people would implant themselves in your lives and to betray you, and it's not just two people or three people scheming to take your wealth. Towards the end, we see just the extent of how deep the corruption runs. It's not a scheme between a few people. It is a racist target to take the wealth from these people, to take the wealth from the Osage people. That is a conspiracy between many, many people. It's not just two people who want to get rich real quick. So with the bad stuff out of the way, let's just talk about the good things, and that is the performances, first of all. And Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, we don't have to talk about them because they're screen legends, and they're screen legends for a reason. And especially in the scenes between the two, the performances is amazing. The chemistry between the two. But as I'm sure a lot of people will agree, the true standout performer in this movie is the person that plays the emotional anchor of this movie, Lily Gladstone, who plays Molly Burkhart. And Molly didn't want to be dragged into this conspiracy, but she was just seduced. She did not know she was a part of a greater plan to obtain her wealth. And she did not know that the person she married, the man she trusts, is a part of this plot to murder her entire family just to get some money. Lily Gladstone plays that very, very well. Just that level of, once things just start happening, there's a level of suspicion that she has towards Ernest. Also, the sheer grief from her loss, like losing siblings and family members and connections one after the other. Lily Gladstone does an amazing job. As for the direction and cinematography, I don't have to say much. I mean, Martin Scorsese is a master, and for me this is his best film in a while. I didn't really watch The Irishman, and the last film of his that I watched was Silence, which I still think is an incredibly underrated film and bears a lot of stylistic or thematic similarities to this movie, but just the opposite direction. So that's why I say this might be a year of peak cinema, or at least the best year of cinema we've had since before the pandemic, since 2019. 2019 was a sublime year in cinema. Like, if you go through the list of Oscar Best Picture nominees, there are just all incredible films that are not just Oscar bait, but just great to watch. And I feel like this year feels about the same. Now, especially with Oppenheimer earlier, now this, and with Ridley Scott's upcoming Napoleon, it feels like we're getting incredible movies by renowned directors. And add to that movies from other genres like Across the Spider-Verse. We had John Wick 4 this year, as well as a sort of indie horror film, Talk to Me, which was made by YouTubers, by people on this platform. And that includes films that I haven't even seen yet, that are not maybe shown here, but shown in America. So we might have a year of peak cinema. And on top of that, if I were to think about the Oscars, we have 3 contenders, possibly. If Napoleon turns out amazing, we have possibly 3 contenders for Best Picture that I know of, and also possibly 3 strong contenders for Best Actor in a Lead Role, because we've got Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, Leonardo DiCaprio here, and Joaquin Phoenix you can depend on to give an incredible performance. So there's that, and then also Napoleon and this might compete for Best Female Lead, because Lily Gladstone's performance is sublime here, and I'm seeing that possibly occurring there as well, but we'll get to Napoleon once it comes out. But yeah, we might actually have a year of peak cinema right now in 2023. Anyway, back to Killers of the Flower Moon. It is an incredible movie, a cinematic masterpiece. And if I hadn't used the cinema perfection for Oppenheimer, which I still think it deserves a bit more than this movie, because I enjoyed that a bit more. Still, if I hadn't used it there, I would probably use it here. But honestly, if you haven't seen this movie and it's showing in your local cinema, please do go watch this movie in the cinema. It's streaming on Apple Plus, and you can watch it there, but this is built for a cinematic experience. And if what I've said here, and if the story itself interests you, please do go check it out. Anyway, I give Killers of the Flower Moon a 10 out of 10. So which years do you think are years of peak cinema? For me, it was 2019. We'll see how this year pans out, and I'll try and enjoy the rest of the year, as it unfolds. But yeah, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, I'm still adding these end cards for my cinematic perfection and my animated perfection videos, so please do check that out. And if you like them and you like this video, please subscribe. The button should be around here somewhere.